and adjust their now instinctive, habitual reactions toward others as well as themselves. Or, Kit temporized, at least shake loose enough of those chains to take up the challenge of shaping their own lives and make a start. For Rand, arguably the most impacted by their mother's schemes, but also the oldest of the four siblings and possessing a quiet inner strength similar to Ryder's implacable will, that had meant becoming a leading light in investor circles, specializing in supporting promising inventions. Less than a month ago, Rand had taken what Kit saw as the final step in emerging from their shared past by marrying Felicia Throgmorton, the daughter of one of the inventors Rand had backed. Kit had seen Rand and Felicia 2 days ago, when they'd driven over from their new house to visit with Ryder and Mary at Raventhorn Abbey, the family's ancestral pile, where, since the wedding, Kit had been staying. Contentment had settled about Rand like a cloak, and a species of happiness had infused his eyes and his expression whenever he'd looked at Felicia, leaving Kit to surmise that Rand and Felicia were well on the way to finding the same sense of settled peace and relaxed joy in life that Ryder had found with Mary. The atmosphere of happy family life that now pervaded the Abbey was something Kit had never experienced over the decades he'd called the Abbey home. He envied his nephews and niece, Ryder and Mary's children, the warmth and unqualified acceptance in which they were growing up, the unstated yet all-embracing love and support of their parents. Having watched Rand steadily making his own way, his own name, in society and beyond, Kit had decided it was time he did the same. That it was time he made a start on assembling the various elements of the life he wanted for his own. He wanted to build ocean-going yachts. More, as he aspired to be the preeminent force in the evolving field. In the same way that dealing with investments played to Rand's strengths and interests, Kit felt that yacht building would make the most of his long-time obsession with all things sailing, and his ability to lead men and act as manager, facilitator, and negotiator. He was good with his hands, and he was good with his head. He always had been. When Rand had announced his engagement, Kit had been on his way to Bermuda, chasing down Wayland Cobworth. Wayland was an old friend of Kit's from Eton days, who shared his passion for superbly designed sailing vessels. Coming from a significantly less wealthy family than the Cavanaghs, instead of going to university, Wayland had apprenticed to an expert draftsman and ship designer, and was now one of the up-and-coming designers of yachts. Wayland knew the quality of Kit's determination, that when he set his sights on achieving some goal, that goal would be achieved. Convincing Wayland of Kit's vision for Cavanagh Yachts and of the desirability of Wayland's potential position in the company hadn't been all that hard. Kit had had to take ship back to England almost immediately in order not to miss Rand's wedding. He'd made it, but with only minutes to spare. Wayland had had to finish a design for the company he'd been working for before heading back to England, sailing directly to Bristol. "It's bigger than I'd thought," Smiggs, Kit's groom-cum-stableman, observed, breaking through Kit's introspection. Smiggs was perched behind Kit. Kit had co-opted Smiggs, several years older than he, from the Abbey stables when he'd first gone on the town. Smiggs had eagerly thrown in his lot with Kit, and subsequently, they'd shared many an adventure. Kit considered Smiggs a confidant of sorts, and knew he could rely on the wiry man's support in any situation. "This is one of the few decent views of the city sprawl," Kit said. "And last time, we didn't stop to look." Last time being 2 weeks before, when he and Smiggs had driven over for a few days to allow Kit to make the necessary arrangements for taking up residence in the city. Among other things, he'd finalized the purchase of a decent-sized house in a good neighborhood, and had discussed leasing a warehouse on the floating harbour with the Bristol Dock Company. "So, Mr. Cobworth should have arrived a few days ago."